It's not gonna be good. Okay, let me share screen. Optimize share sound.
Okay, I just need something.
Welcome and good evening. This is the study group for this is the Moorish National and Divine Movement of Dallas study group. Um, where we going to go through the Moorish Science Temple teachings from Noble Drew Ali, prepared by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and try to get our minds back to a secure place. Okay, and so we had videos before coming and bringing what the Prophet brought. No, of course, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and what his aims was as far as the Moorish movement. Okay, so um, you can go back. We put it on YouTube, TrueTube 7, so you can check those videos out if you want to know more about what Noble Drew Ali brought and how can it help you, because it helped a lot of people. So that's why we're presenting this information. So I would like to say Assalamu alaikum, which means peace be unto all. That's starting out. And I would like to also uh, say honors, high honors to Noble Drew Ali and Marcus Garvey, because Marcus Garvey was his forerunner. Um, I would like to also give my highest honors and praise to Allah, which is the great God of the universe. Okay, the highest God, or some people say the most highest God. Okay, so I would also like to give my honors to the Moorish flag, the one with the 5-pointed green star, and it's a red flag. And I'll also like to give honors to the American flag. Okay. And so we're going to jump right into this study group and try to get some type of understanding of this Quran because I feel like it can help a lot of people, especially mentally. And all of those who know me, know that I was one of those brothers who really needed it. I didn't have no understanding of life and how our connection to the Most High or Allah. I didn't have no understanding of that. I didn't have no understanding of how life works and how spirit works or soul or even your body. Okay, so we're going to go over these things in this study group together and help try to understand this thing. And if anybody have any questions or want to give their input, because I'm just still studying myself, we all in this together. Um, let's help each other get through this. Okay. So I'm gonna start off the reading with the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Okay. And you see of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Okay. So it is a science. Okay. Religion is a science. It's a science of the universe. It's a science of the spirit world. That's a science. Okay. So Noble Drew Ali was um, for lack of a better term, well educated and intelligent in the science of things. Okay. Um, as you can see, we have a circle, seven, with a seven in the middle, with four indentions. Um, and we're not gonna go too far into that because man knows not by being told. There's some things that I'm just it would take me too much time to explain to you. Once you get those keys, you can do your research and figure out what it is that symbol represent. Because when we get to the end of these readings and this book, which is the Quran questions, for the Moorish for for Moorish Americans, which we like to call the 101s, and this is almost like a like what they used to call in school a key, right? And so it help you understand different terms and different things in the Quran. So these two books go hand in hand, okay? And you can find them both on local government, the Library of Congress. If you go online and you type it in, look for the PDF in the Library of Congress, okay? And so it's registered in the Library of Congress so that we can get to it. We can access it and read through some of these things if you don't have a physical copy. Okay, so that's a great thing for us, great resource for us. Okay, right. So let's try to break this thing down, man. All right, so we got the circle seven with the indentions, and I'm gonna just give you a small key on it. Those indentions. What I got from it, those indentions could represent um the four seasons, right? Or the four corners of the world. Okay. But like I said, I don't know everything, and so man knows not by being told. There's some things that you just gonna figure out through your research and experience. Okay. Divinely prepared, as we keep going down the page, it says divinely prepared by the prophet, by a noble prophet Drali. Okay. And we broke down what a prophet was in later class, before classes. So just go back and check out those YouTube videos, and so you will be enlightened on what a prophet is. Okay, it's not as spooky as people think. But we're gonna go into the 101s real quick. Uh-oh. And so we can see what Nova Drali has to say about a prophet. Okay, because this is in the 101. So you see from his own words. It says number 5, who is Nova Drali? He is Allah's prophet. Number 6, what is a prophet? A prophet is a thought of Allah manifested in the flesh. What is the number 7? What is the duty of a prophet? To save the nations from the wrath of Allah. Okay, so when the nations get out of control or stop following after Allah or disobedient to Allah, he sends a prophet before things go real bad. You know what I'm saying? Before he comes with his wrath, like COVID, like uh, earthquakes, hurricanes, floods, all of those type of things, etc. He sends a prophet to come and bring us the words of that spirit, the wisdom of that spirit, so we don't fall into self destruction. Okay, so Noble Ali was a prophet. He brought us the gospel. He brought us the word that'll help our mental, so we don't fall into that wrath. Okay, so let's go back to the Holy Quran, Circle 7, and keep reading. Say, by the guidance, so it was divinely prepared. Okay, that's a key word, prepared. Okay, by the noble prophet Drew Ali, by the guidance of what? His father God, Allah. So Allah blessed Noble Drew Ali with the teachings or the guidance. Okay, so this comes from Allah through Noble Drew Ali, the great God of the universe. So as we can see, Allah is what? The great God of the universe, the one that created the whole universe. Okay, it's kind of self-explanatory. I'm gonna keep going. To redeem man from his sinful and fallen stage of humanity back to the highest plane of life with his father God Allah. Okay, so when you speaking of a plane, you're not talking about a plane like in the sky that flies. We talking about a frequency of existence. I think I have it pulled up. Let me see. I did. So this is Merriam-Webster Dictionary, 1828. Okay, and we can look in the first definition, um, section 3. We know that a plane means a level of existence, consciousness, or development. Okay, so it's almost like you got 3D, you got 4D, you got 5D, or a dimension. It's a level of existence. Um, just like I was explaining to my daughter earlier, you might have a piece of ice that's when it's frozen, is um, it's a block of ice, but as you heat it up, it turns into what? Liquid. And then you heat it up some more, which gets the molecules moving, right? It's moving faster. Then you have a smoke or a gas. Okay. So these are levels of existence. Okay. These are different levels of existence. Again, we talking about the Moorish science temple. Okay. So it's breaking down how religion and science correlate. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a science book. A science book of what? The spirit. Okay. So let's continue reading. So to redeem man from his sinful and fallen stage of humanity, right, back to the highest plane of life with his Father God, Allah. High frequencies, y'all. High frequencies. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to raise our frequencies and our consciousness up to a higher level, right? Instead of the lower level that we fell into. You ever heard of the fallen angel, a fallen angel, or you hear that they sometimes call the devil a fallen angel, which means he have failed to a level of existence that's so slow, you know what I'm saying, that he's that lower self. I ain't gonna get into and too far into it because I don't want to confuse nobody. But we're gonna get back, we're gonna get into it. Okay, so man has failed, um, fell into a stage of existence that's not vibrating on a high frequency. Okay, so our thoughts get us back to that high frequency. Okay, and so that's why we're reading this Quran to try to get our thoughts and our spirit back up to a high frequency. Okay, kind of like on Lucy. Matter of fact, let me play that clip. Now I do not own the rights to this, just for future references, so they don't cut us off YouTube. What the rule when I put the videos on there, so people can go back. But let's check out that scene because she gave a good explanation. Maybe you could see it. So this is Lucy. This is a good movie explaining um, a lot of things that we talked about, the science of the mind and things of that nature. So let's look at this clip. I believe this is it, real quick. Basically, what she's saying is that we're all connected. Okay, through that what you would call DNA. Okay, that consciousness and that wisdom is running through every living thing, every existence. Even though the cells, right? We all know what cells are, atoms might take a different form. That what we call Allah is existing in every and anything in the universe. Okay. So that's why I say in the Bible that you were made in the image of God. Right. That's what it's basically the molecules in the ice that I was explaining earlier. It's moving so fast that you can't see it. Okay, so again, I do not own the copyrights to that video. I was using it for research purposes only. Right. So the highest, okay, back to the reading on the Holy Quran, Circle 7. Back to redeem man from his sinful and fallen stage of humanity back to the highest plane of life with his Father God Allah. Okay, so that was that Lucy scene that correlated to that. Let's go on to page 2. Okay, know thyself and Allah, the genealogy of Jesus, right? Life and works of Jesus in India, Europe, and Africa in the land of Egypt. Okay. Uh, and when we say Jesus, okay, I know a lot of our younger generation has lost a little faith when you start saying Jesus. You know, a lot of people in the so-called conscious community or start talking bad. You know what I'm saying about Jesus, but um, really, if you go and read the story. Listen to the message because it's a lot of wisdom in that message that he brought. You know what I'm saying? Uh, Especially when I first got, when I first thought I was into the movement and I was listening to a bunch of people, and people would be like, oh, Jesus ain't real with the woo. You know what I'm saying? And I now at the level of wisdom I'm at today, I would ask them, have you went and read the story? Have you listened to the message that he brought? That's the true key. It's the message. Listen to the message that he brought. It's a lot of wisdom in that story. Please don't throw it away. Okay. Let's continue on. Page 3. This is Noble Ali. Okay. Um, the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America, to redeem the people from their sinful ways. To redeem the people from their sinful ways, man. To stop that wrath. This man did a lot of great things. This prophet has done a lot of great things for humanity in general. Okay. And if you see on page 4, we got Sultan Abdul Aziz Ibu Suad. Okay, the descendant of Hagar, now the head of the holy city of Mecca. Okay, so the descendant of Hagar. Okay, so we're going to go in Genesis chapter 16. Uh-oh. Let's refresh that. Genesis chapter 16, King James Version of the Bible. We can get a quick overview of who Hagar is. Now, I'm not gonna go too deep into it because man knows not by being told. If I told you everything, I'll put you back to sleep. Okay, so we're gonna give a quick overview. Okay, so now Sarai, Abraham's wife. Okay, and we know her name was later changed to Sarah. Sarah, Abraham's wife. We all know who Abraham was. If uh if you don't know, Abraham was the one that God promised in the Bible the seed uh, to be blessed. He was going to bless all of Abraham's seed. Okay. And so um, let's go into it real quick. Chapter 16. Now, Sarai, or Sarah, Abraham's wife, bare him no children. And she said, and she had an handmaid, an Egyptian, an Egyptian, right? Whose name was Hagar. Okay. And Sarai said unto Abraham, behold, now the Lord has restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in, go in unto my maid. It may be that may obtain children by her. And Abraham hearkened to the voice of Sarah. Okay, so right there he gave she Sarah, because she was barren, she couldn't bear any children, gave her maid, her handmaid, which was an Egyptian, to Abraham to have children by. Okay, and her name was Hagar. Okay, Hagar. Right. So right there, we're not gonna get too far into it. Um, let me see. Hold on. Let me keep reading a little bit. We're gonna read a little bit. And Sarai, Abraham's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abraham, and had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abraham to be his wife. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. She conceived, and um, and when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eye. Okay, so Sarah got jealous after Hagar um after Hagar had the baby by Abraham. Okay, and so we're gonna stop right there. But as you can see, Hagar, which was an Egyptian, which was an Egyptian, uh, was to carry that seed of Abraham, which was the promised seed. Okay, which was the promised seed. So that could have been what Nova Ali was sending us to by putting this picture of the Sultan, which is another word for president, um, on this book. Okay, and letting us know that Even those Egyptians are the descendant of Hagar. Now, um, that story that I just read to you about Sarah, Abraham, and Hagar is an allegory, and we all know what an allegory is. You know, it's a story in relevance to something or a metaphor, right? So that um, that story that I just said, uh, when you do your research in the New Testament, you'll see that that story was in semblance to those who believed and those who didn't. Okay, so not to get too deep, let's continue on. Page 5. All right, this is like the introduction. Okay, so page 5. Know thyself and thy father God Allah. Know thyself and thy father God Allah. Okay, the genealogy of Jesus with 18 years of events, life, works, and teachings in India, Europe, and Africa. These events occurred before he was 30 years of age. These secret lessons are for all of those who love Jesus and desire to know about his life works and teachings. Because his life work and teachings um, is amazing wisdom. It's amazing wisdom, man. And if you can understand it, um, you can still, if you understand these lessons that he brought, it'll help you out in your everyday life. Some of those parables that Jesus brought helps me out in my everyday life of thinking. Okay. So, dear readers, do not falsely use these lessons. They are for good, peace, and happiness for all of those that love Jesus. Dear mothers, teach these lessons to your little ones that they may learn to love instead of hate. All right. Dear fathers, by these lessons, you can set your house in order and your children will learn to love instead of hate because the mind runs the body. So if we can get these lessons to our children, it'll help them in their thinking process and then they'll move better. Okay. That's the goal. The uplift fallen humanity. Because we have failed. You can look outside and see that we fail. We go over it on Wednesday classes, you know, the falling process. We go over all the things that we're doing that's fallen energy, which we all have. You know what I'm saying? Me included. I'm not excluded. We all get, need that. We all need these lessons. Okay. But it's important that we get it to the little ones because they're the future. You know what I'm saying? They are future. Okay. Let's continue reading. Lessons of this pamphlet are not for sale, but for the sake of humanity. As I am a prophet and the servant is worthy of his hire, you can receive this pamphlet at expense. Okay? Because we don't believe things real unless we pay for it. So, you know, if I do good work, pay me. You know what I'm saying? Not to where I'm making a profit, but that's a servant is worthy of his hire. Okay. The reason these lessons have not been known is because the Muslims of India, Egypt, and Palestine had these secrets and kept them back from the outside world. And when the time appointed by Allah, they loosened the keys and freed these secrets. Okay. And I'm not gonna go too deep, but um, sometimes you gotta put things away so that they can last. Okay, because you had groups of people who was going around the world and burning books. They didn't want this knowledge. They didn't want certain knowledge to get out because they want to keep control of the people. So, when the time was appointed by Allah, they loosened the keys and freed these secrets and kept them preserved so that we can have them in today's time. Okay. And for the first time, let's continue reading. And for the first time in ages have these secrets been delivered in the hands of Muslims of America. All authority and rights of publishing of this pamphlet of 1927 by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Okay. The industrious acts of Muslims of Northwest and Southwest Africa. Okay, so let's go to a world map real quick and see what's Northwest and Southwest Africa. Okay, so on this world map, you got Africa right here. Okay, and so Northwest will be right here, right? And Southwest will be right here, right? Okay, so keep that in mind. We're gonna keep on reading real quick. Okay, these are the Moabites, Hamathites, Canaanites who were driven out of the land of Canaan by Joshua and received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle in that portion of Egypt. You mind you, keep in mind that he said that portion of Egypt, because Egypt was way bigger than it is on the map today. Okay, it was the capital empire. Egypt wasn't just that little corner right there. It was a capital empire, and I ain't gonna get too far, but it stretched. Okay, it wasn't just confined to that little space. So, and then we see that he said, "We're driven out by the land of Canaan, out of the land of Canaan by Joshua." Okay, so if you go to Joshua in the Bible, King James version, I believe it's chapter 3. You know what I'm saying? But you have to go and do a little research, and you know, let me see where it says if I okay, chapter 10, where God is talking to Joshua, and Joshua came after Moses to, I guess, clean up the nations, all of those who were false practicing, right? We're not gonna get too far into that, but all of those who weren't um, believers in Allah, right? The one God of the universe who created everything. We should all believe in that, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna judge. I don't know what they thinking was back then, you know, coming from their situations and dealing with their environment. Okay, but that's what the Israelites um, was chosen for, to clean up. Okay, get things back to the universe, the great God of the universe, the one and all God, God of all. Okay, so and it says chapter 3, verse 10 of Joshua. And Joshua said, "Hereby ye shall know that the living God is among you, and that he without fail drive out from before you the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Hivites and the Perizzites and the Girgasites and the Amorites and the Jebusites." Okay. Notice I don't see the Moabites in there. I'm gonna have to come back and do some more research, but I do know that they were driven out. You know what I'm saying? Even though this is um, before they went into the city and drove everybody out. This was the consciousness of Joshua. Okay, so then in Second Kings, I'm not gonna get too deep. All right, I don't want to lose nobody, but in Second Kings, I believe it's not Second Kings, it's Third Kings. I'm sorry, this is Second Kings. I'm gonna have to go back and read this and read this chapter. Sometimes I listen to it on YouTube. You know, whenever you got time, just pop it in. Go to the Holy Bible on YouTube. They got a good format on reading it. Okay, So, in chapter 3, verse 24 of Second Kings, um, it say when they drove out the Moabites. Okay, so let me read. And when they came to the camp of Israel, the Israelites rose up and smote the Moabites, so that they fled before them. But they went forward, smiting the Moabites even in their own country. Okay. Um, but as I read, hold on, and they beat down. Hold on, let me keep reading. And they beat down the cities, and on every good piece of land cast every man his stone, and filled it. And they stopped all the wells of water, and felled all the good trees. Only in, I'm not even gonna pronounce that word, left they stones thereof. Howbeit the slingers went about it and smote it. And when the king of Moab saw that the battle was too sore for him, he took with him 700 men that drew swords to break through even unto the king of Edom. Okay, but they could not. Then he took his eldest son that should have reigned in his stead and offered him a burnt offering upon the wall. And there was a great indignation against Israel, and they departed from him and returned to their own land. Okay. And I believe that's where in the Bible in Joshua that we went west. Okay. When you do further read in Joshua, I'm not going to get too far off because we're going through the Holy Quran. But yeah, so if you look at this map again, Israel, hold on, let me zoom in. Okay. Israel would be, yeah, Israel's right here, what you would call the Middle East, which there's no such thing as the Middle East. But this is all Asia. This is West Asia. Moab would have been right here by the River Jordan. Okay, by where it says Jordan. Moab would have been right there. So when Joshua came through, we ran west. Okay, we ran west. All right, so that's just to give you a quick view of what's going on. Okay, so let's continue reading. Okay, so these are the Moabites, Hamathites, Canaanites who were driven out of the land of Canaan by Joshua and received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle in that portion of Egypt. What portion? Northwest and Southwest Africa. What is today called Africa was Egypt, right? In later years, they formed themselves kingdoms. These kingdoms are called this day Morocco, Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli, etc. So let's go back to the map and find that. What did we say? Morocco. Oh, there it is. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see the whole map and see where you are. Okay. So we over here right now. United States. This is Africa. Okay, Northwest Africa. Let's go back to it. Right here. Morocco, Algiers, Tunis, and Tripoli. So as we went west, we settled in kingdoms and built these kingdoms that's still up and functioning till this day, called Tripoli, Tunis, Algiers, and Morocco, right here on the what? Northwestern shores of Africa. So let's go back to the reading. Okay, so in later years, they formed themselves kingdoms. These kingdoms today are called this day Morocco, Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli, etc. Okay, so right there, the prophet just uh, tied you to some keys right there in your history, in your DNA, your ancestors. Okay, let's go on. Let's continue on. Okay, the divine instructions. Okay, so when you get something new, you get say you get a playground set. that you're trying to hook up in your backyard, there's going to come with a set of instructions, right? So you can do it right. So you can make it the best playground that you built. Okay, so there's instructions for man. Okay, chapter 1, the creation and fall of man. Let's get into it. About to get juicy. I'm getting some water. Out kind of dry. All right. Time never was when man was not. If life of man at any time began, a time will come when it would end. Okay, so the thoughts of Allah cannot be circumscribed. Circumscribed. Let's look that up because I didn't know what that meant at first. So let's just look it up. Circumscribe. Hope I spelled it right.
Circumscribe.
Circumscribe. Restrict with limits. Okay, so circumscribe means restrict with limits. So something restricted, okay? So the thoughts of Allah cannot be circumscribed or restricted. Okay. So let me break that down. I was gonna read all the way through so we don't keep stopping, but I like to give my overview on things so that we can try to understand this before, so nobody's confused as we go through the reading. Okay, so time never was when man was not. If life of man at any time began, a time will come when it would end. Okay, so even in that Lucy video that we watched, time was created. Okay, so that time, she said, without time, we would never exist. That's what she said in that video. So time is for the physical plane. Out in space, there's no time. Out in the universe, there's no time. So that consciousness, that wisdom, that same consciousness that's in man, been here since the beginning of time, whenever time began. If it began, the thoughts of Allah had no beginning. It's infinite. You can't even put a time on it, okay? So if life of man at any time began, a time will come when it would end. The thoughts of Allah cannot be circumscribed or restricted. No finite mind, right? Because that mind is here on the physical plane, can comprehend things infinite. We can't even begin to understand infinite wisdom, right? Not in the physical form. All finite things are subject unto change. All finite things will cease to be because there was a time when they were not. Hold on, here we go. The bodies and the souls of men are finite things, right? And they will change. Yeah, from the finite point of view, the time will come when they will be no more. Death, right? From the finite point of view, the physical point of view, right? But man himself is not the body, nor the soul. He is a spirit and a part of Allah. Okay. So, but man himself is not the body. You're not the body, nor the soul. He is the spirit and a part of Allah. That energy that wakes you up in the morning. That energy that moves this body, right? It's an energy force that moves this body. You have to have energy in order for the body to move. You lay down at night, you don't plug your body up. Where does that energy come from, right? Where does that energy come from? So that spirit, that spirit is a part of Allah. Okay, let's continue reading. Creative fate gave to man, to spirit man, a soul that he might function on the plane of soul. So we know what plane is. That's a level of existence. Okay, so we went from spirit man to a soul. Okay, uh, and then gave him a body of flesh that he might function on the plane of things made manifest. So that's another plane. That's another plane. Why did creative fate give to spirit man a soul that he might function on the plane of soul? Why did creative fate give to soul a body of flesh that he might function on the plane of things that are made manifest? Right? So things is here in this physical thing plane is made manifest, right? That's that ice cube going from gas to a liquid back to a solid, right? That's why they teach us that in school. You know what I'm saying? Because everything is vibrating, even though you can't see it. Gas is there. Uh, then as it slows down, the plane of existence slow down, it turns into a liquid. And then as it slows down even more, it turns into a solid or that ice, right? Okay, these are different planes of existence. These are different planes. Okay, so why? Why did creative fate get to soul a body of flesh that he might function on the plane of things that are made manifest? Here now, here, okay, now ye cherubim and ye seraphim, ye angels and ye men. Here now, O protoplasm and earth and plant and beast. Protoplasm. Let's look that up because I didn't know what that word was when I first. Okay. Protoplasm. I'm trying to see if I spelled it right. Protoplasm definition.
Protoplast.
The protoplasm of a living plant or bacterial cell whose cell was or whose cell wall has been removed. Okay. Right? You're dealing with Moorish science. Remember that. Science. All right. So here now, O protoplasm and earth and plant and beast. Here now, ye creeping things of the earth, ye fish that swim, ye birds that fly. Here now, ye winds that blow, ye thunders, and ye lightnings of the sky. Here now, ye spirits of the fire, of water, earth, and air. Hear now, O everything that is, or was, or evermore will be. For what wisdom speaks from the highest plane of spirit life. That wisdom, that same wisdom that's running through everything, right? That same wisdom that these trees fall leaves and then regrow trees on its own. That same wisdom that tell the birds to fly in one direction and they don't even talk. That same wisdom that comes from the thunder and flash into the sand and make glass, right? That same wisdom that we use fire to burn down a house, or we use fire to cook, right? That's wisdom. That same wisdom that's in the water that moves that dam or creates another river or creates another lake, right? You can get the point. I ain't gonna go too into it that far, but that same wisdom speaks from the highest plane of spirit life. Man is a thought of Allah. All thoughts of Allah are infinite. They are not measured up by time, for things that are concerned with time begin and end. The thoughts of Allah are the everlasting of the past until the never ending days to come. And so is man, the spirit man. All right. But man, like every other thought of Allah, was but a seed that held within itself the potencies of Allah. So if I got a seed, right, and I plant that, I get an apple, and it gives me a seed in the middle. When I take that seed and I replant it, it's gonna grow an apple tree. It has the same DNA code in it to create whatever it was that it came from. Okay, so that seed, that spirit that's in us, came from the Creator, right? And then it planted, right? Let's keep reading. I ain't gonna get ahead of myself. Okay. But man, like every other thought of Allah, was but a seed that held within itself the potencies of Allah, just like that apple. Just as the seed of any plant of the earth holds deep within itself the attributes, right, of every part of that special plant. So spirit man, as seed of Allah, held deep within himself the attributes of every part of Allah. So let me tie that into the Bible. We're gonna tie that into the Bible. Because I'm pretty sure everybody knows and heard this saying. Pretty sure everybody heard this saying. Excuse me. Ooh, we about to get some work done. About to get some work done. Yes, yes. So we can heal. You feel me? Let's heal our minds, man. So we can heal these babies' minds. Yes. Yes, yes. Okay, so let's find it. This is Genesis of the Bible, chapter 1. Okay. And so we correlating that passage we just read out of there, and how the seed of Allah is the same, holds the same attributes and the same things that came from Allah. Okay. So Genesis chapter 1, 26. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish and of the sea and over the fowl of the earth and over the cattle and over all the earth and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female, created he them. Right? So God created us in his own image, even in the Bible when we read the Bible. Okay. Um, make sure I don't miss nothing. Okay. So that directly correlates to what Noble Ali prepared for us in this Circle 7 Quran. So spirit man, as a seed of Allah, held deep within himself the attributes of every part of Allah. Okay, so we were created in the image of Allah, or the image of God. We've got all the attributes that Allah has. It's the seed. It's a print, a DNA print, just like a fruit. You plant an apple seed, it's gonna give you an apple tree. Okay. You plant a spirit man of Allah, you're gonna get a Allah in man, right? Now seeds are perfect, yeah, as perfect as the source from which they came. So if you get a rotten seed, your tree might not be, it might be right, it might not grow as good, right? Um, but they are not unfolded until life made manifest. The child is as perfect as the mother is. So man, the seed, must be deeply planted in a soil that he might grow. That's why they call Mother Nature, right? Mother Nature. That motherly, that womb, that nurtures. Okay. So man, that would be equivalent to the soil, right? So man, the seed, must be deeply planted in a soil that he might grow, unfold, as does the bud unfold to show the flower. The human seed that came forth from the heart of Allah was foreordained to be the Lord of the plane of soul and of the plane of things made manifest. So Allah, the husbandman, okay, because I used to think husband at first, but so Allah, the husbandman of everything, and let's look up husbandman real quick so nobody is confused on, because I didn't know what that word was. Husband man. I thought they was talking about husband, which was a man. I'm tripping.
Husbandman.
Husbandman, a person who cultivates the land, a farmer. Okay, so somebody who prepares the land for the seed to grow. Okay, husbandman. So Allah, the husbandman. Oh man, we got 10 minutes. We're gonna come back in for the next segment in 10 minutes. Okay, so Allah, the husbandman of everything that is, threw forth this human seed into the soil of soul. It grew apace, and man became a living soul. And he became the Lord of all the kingdom of soul, of the soul. Heart, which means hear. Hear now. Let every creature hear. Okay, like bark, like a dog will bark, hark, I guess. You know, this old literature. Now let every creature hear. The plane of soul is but the ether of the spirit plane vibrating not so fast. Right? So in that Lucy video, as you slow down the spirit or that ice, as you slow down that spirit, it becomes what? Liquid. That would be like equivalent to the soul. You know what I'm saying? When people say soul food, you can feel it. Or soul, or I got soul, you can feel the dance. You know what I'm saying? That's a part, that's that connection to the spirit, right? That's that love, right? But it's not the spirit. It's not the spirit, because the spirit is the energy that's running through your body, right? That's a lower form of the spirit, right? So it's vibrating not so fast. The spirit would be like that gas of that ice cube. The soul will be like that liquid of the ice cube. And let's keep going. Hold on. So it's vibrating not so fast. And in the slower rhythm of this plane, the essence of life are manifest. The perfumes and the odors, the true sensations, and the awe of love manifest. Okay? That love and perfume, you might smell something so good, it hits your soul, right? Why they call it soul food, right? And these soul attributes became a body beautiful, right? A multitude of lessons man must learn upon the plane of soul. And here he tarries many ages until his lessons are all learned. Upon the boundary of the plane of soul, the ether began to vibrate slower. Uh-oh, that liquid about to change again. Still, and then the essence took on a final guard. The perfumes and odors and the true sensations and the all of love were clothed in flesh. So as the vibrations start to slow down even more, now you got a flesh, right? Which is the body or the flesh, right? But your soul is something different from the flesh. And your spirit is something different from the soul, right? They moving on different planes. They vibrating at different frequencies, right? Remember, we're in the Moorish science temple. Science, religion, the science of religion. It's a science. And if you know this science, then you can better live life, right? Let's continue on. Began to vibrate slower still, and then the essence took on a final guard. The perfumes and the odors and the true sensations and the all of love were clothed in flesh. And man, was clothed in flesh. Perfected man must pass through all the ways of life, and so a carnal was full manifest. Let's look up carnal, because again, I didn't know what that word was. Well, I looked it up. After I looked it up. Carnal. Carnal definition.
Carnal.
Relating to physical, especially sexual needs and activities. Okay? Relating to physical. You see, lost my spot. Lost my spot. Okay, here we go. Perfected man must pass through all ways of life, and so a cardinal was full manifest, a nature that sprang forth from fleshy things. Uh, okay. Without a foe, right? And I thought a foe meant an enemy, which it is, but it ain't a person. It ain't a person. Let's look it up. It don't have to necessarily mean another person. A foe is an enemy. You can be a foe to yourself, an enemy or opponent.
Foe.
Turning. Don't get to doing all that. Don't get to doing all that. We ain't doing that today. There's something in the chat. I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't. Turner, you had a question.
Yes.
Okay, what is your question?
Can you tell us about how do the earth spins?
What you mean? Is
How do the earth spins?
I mean, it just spins. It's spinning. It's in motion. Anything in motion stays in motion. Anything, if you float something out in space, it's gonna continue to go and float the way that it's going until something stop it. Nothing has hit the earth to stop it from spinning. It's gonna keep spinning. Did I answer?
But
We gotta get through this reading, Tony.
what what is making it spin?
Tony, I'm not out there. All I can tell you about is what's down here. Okay, but it's believed by scientists that something hit the earth and made it spin faster, creating the moon. It's believed by scientists whatever created the moon, an asteroid, big asteroid, knocked the earth, um, tilted the earth, and sped it spinning up, and then broke a piece off, and the moon started to form from those pieces. But that's not the lesson today, Tony. So I hope I answered your question. Let's continue on. If I answer your question. Okay, so without a foe, enemy or opponent, a foe means any opponent. A soldier never knows his strength, and thought must be developed by exercise of strength. So you fighting your thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Your lower self thoughts and your higher self thoughts. We're gonna get into lower self and higher self, not to get too confused. Um, let's continue reading. And so this carnal nature soon became a foe. That carnal nature. We remember cardinal, right? Let's go back real quick.
Carnal.
Relating to the physical, especially sexual needs and activities. Okay, so we can say carnal desires as they use as example. Okay, so we can say the physical desires that your body have. You're gonna have physical desires. With the body has the physical desires. So, like I was explaining to you earlier, attorney, um, you have to fight those desires. You have to fight those cardinal things that foe is yourself. You have to fight with your spirit man. You are the spirit man. Okay, so you have to fight that physical desires that you have to do hate. You have to fight that. That's you have to use the Allah in you to fight that. Okay, that's gonna get you strong mentally. You know, it's almost like taking a test. That's what I was explaining to you earlier. Okay. So we have less than 1 minute. We're gonna come back in and finish up this chapter and maybe get into the Quran questionnaire that we like to call the 101s. So we got about 20 seconds before this feed go down, and then we'll just